Thank you very much for making time to share your insights into the future CFO. But before we go into the future, can you tell us a little bit about your own background? What was your dream career when you grew up?
Sure, thanks. So actually my mother was very creative. So I wanted to do architecture and interior design. My father was a CA.
Right.
And he said to me, if you want a job in the future, you will become a CA. And in fact, I'll make it even easier for you. If you want me to pay for you to go to university, you'll be a CA. So that kind of took me down the direction of an accountant, obviously. But when I finished my articles, I felt that I wanted to do something where I could actually help organizations do different.
Right.
So I spent the last 22 years in the finance consulting side of the firm for which I work, re-engineering finance operating models, finance functions.
So who inspired you in your early days?
I think the inspiration for me was I landed up being on quite a long-term project at a client where it was literally a blank sheet of paper. And the ask of us was against the backdrop, make sure this never happens to us again.
Right.
And I was actually at that client for 4 years. And we took that organization from a DOS-based ACPAC system of 10 users to an organization that is today a very well-branded, very highly thought-of organization in the space of 4 years. And it was just the opportunity to actually really architect and create something from nothing. To create a finance function that was future relevant, that was efficient, it was value add, it had, it made sure it complied with all the things of a finance function that it should. So that was really what kind of for me inspired it. And from that I enjoyed what I was doing and just continued to do it.
So Grant, looking into the future, how do you expect the role of the CFO to change?
Yeah. So I think the role of the CFO for the future will be someone who's a lot more agile. We talk about what we call the 3x5. So a future relevant CFO for me is someone who's mastered the art of the ones and zeros, as we call it, not trying to out-robot the robot, using and leveraging digital to its full, providing the robust future insight of the agility of the organization to be relevant in a paradigm for which today there is no blueprint.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest challenges that future CFOs might expect and encounter in their career?
I think the biggest challenge is the people dimension. People, what we say is the elephant in the room today is job loss.
Right.
So the moment we start to digitize and automate and we look at all these new technologies, I think the average finance person is saying, well, where am I? What's left for me? And I think that'll be one of the challenges of the CFO as the head of what I call the finance family, to actually take them through that journey, number one. And number two, to make sure that they, in their own mindset, stay future relevant around what is it they are physically doing in the business. And we talk about things around navigation, mediation, building resilience, and providing the connectivity across the business to be able to make sure that they are future sustainable.
So Grant, if you were to put together a curriculum for the future CFO, what are the new skills you would want to factor in?
I think definitely a more business acumen driven mindset, certainly. Definitely digital fitness, digital awareness, and the ability to use technology, not to have to worry about coding it, okay? But to leverage that as what I call your electronic workforce. I really do think that is part of the curriculum. I think what we will see is the accounting profession will certainly have to put a lot more emphasis around digital upskilling for the future finance accountant or the future digital accountant, and obviously the CFO of the future. So I think there's going to be a massive emphasis on digital. That's the one. I don't think your traditional accounting processes by their very nature will change much, but again, it's really understanding how we will work in a paradigm of new technology.
And when it comes to social media, Grant, what is your advice for aspiring CFOs? How should they handle social media to build their own brands?
That's a tricky question. I hadn't thought of that. So I think, from a media perspective, how would they build their brand? I think to be seen as a visionary, to be seen as challenging the new paradigm, one, and also advocating the ability of a CFO to really start to stress test organization far in advance. That for me would be, I would like to see a CFO in the press and the media that way, and also talk about how they've actually done it. Where are they on that journey? Because it's a long journey, and there's always the thing, but what about control failures? What about the risk inside? And I think if we keep putting ourselves back into that paradigm, we lose focus on where we're actually going. I think too often today in media and press, CFOs are only really spoken to around the failures. as opposed to what are the successes.
Right.
So I think CFOs should try and capitalize on the future vision of finance, where we're going, and by the way, these are the things which we are really doing something about to make sure they don't happen again.
Grant, thank you very much for sharing your insights and your wisdom.